So I wanted to make a quick little video to discuss something that I see happening as an inevitability within the crypto space sometime within the next few years. So I'm rather bullish on this and think that it's going to happen sooner rather than later. But I'm not sure. What I'm going to go through though is essentially what I'm seeing now. To start this off with, like most people, I'm not a financial advisor, not really giving you any financial advice. All I'm doing is trying to show you a pattern that I'm seeing that I think will repeat itself. So what we saw at the beginning of this year was very interesting because Tesla decided to buy a large amount of Bitcoin. Now, in doing so, price of Bitcoin went up by $10,000 during a very short period of time. Now it dropped after that, then recovered. But because of that recovery, you can see that Tesla's impact on buying Bitcoin actually had an impact on its price. So its price actually has increased because of Tesla's join. Now Tesla has seen that this is a good store of value. Now make no mistake, every Fortune 500 company in the world right now is looking at Bitcoin for a similar fashion. Now that creates something very interesting though, because you have an early adopter mentality that's going to get pushed to them as other companies start following suit to what Tesla did. So my guess is that sometime in the next 6 months or so, you may see other companies actually deciding to do the same thing, make large purchases of Bitcoin and start saying as a preparation to start accepting it as a currency for themselves, just like Tesla did. Now, as they do that, what's going to happen is you're going to get a similar spike in price with each joining member. And as the members join, it's going to be advantageous for other potential members to speed up their plans because there'll be this kind of fear of missing out because as you wait, the price for Bitcoin is going to go up and the actual commodity that you hold will be decreased. So these companies will start actually having a feeding frenzy over Bitcoin as a store of value. Now, as they do that, you can imagine what's really happening is you've got a feeding frenzy at the top, and that's going to actually trickle down to the bottom. And so people have asked me a lot whether or not they should be buying Bitcoin. I do think that Bitcoin is a good buy. I think it's a very stable buy for now, and based on what people are going to use it for in the future, it's probably a good in. However, I don't think it's the best buy. And the reason for that is Bitcoin's price. So Bitcoin right now is almost at $60,000. With that price point, if you've got $60,000 laying around, I believe that it'll top 100K before the end of the year. So yeah, you could potentially double your money. Great. I have coins that I hold in my portfolio that doubled yesterday. So I wouldn't say that it's necessarily the best buy. However, what I think is going to happen is as you get this feeding frenzy at the top with corporations, actually, you're going to get a bunch of people like myself who aren't going to buy into Bitcoin because its price is too high, that start buying into other currencies because their price is lower. This is going to cause some of those to actually skyrocket. So the better buys are actually in the cheaper markets for crypto right now. I've had several that have doubled or tripled in the past week. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that as the kind of Bitcoin feeding frenzy happens at the top. My recommendation to people right now is to do what I've been doing, which is essentially looking for things that have potential. Do your research, like actually do some due diligence, look at the coins, look at what their economics are, and try to buy some of the ones that are new or cheap, that have some utility or use in the future, Because as we get kind of this speculative feeding frenzy over Bitcoin, that's going to translate to these other coins. You'll have far larger jumps, and then you can take those jumps to sell off and diversify into other currencies. I think that you're going to get an extreme amount of wealth actually that's generated within the next 5 years inside of the crypto market, mainly because of a feeding frenzy that'll happen at the top. Now that will eventually lead to probably some form of a bubble. So I wouldn't, bet the farm on any of this. But at the same time, I took $500 at the beginning of the year and turned it into 3,000 just by making bets on the lower end of the crypto spectrum. I think that that's going to continue for some time until we find some form of equilibrium, and which we are nowhere near. Make no mistake. So the amount of money that's going to be going into these markets is only going to increase over time. And so now I think is actually a good time to get in, especially if you're playing it the way you should be playing most markets, which is not with excess cash, not with things that you need to pay rent or anything like that. But I did kind of want to get a message out there for people that are interested in getting into crypto, wondering where they start. I don't think it's the big players. You'll be far better off getting in with some of the lower end price tier stuff. They have a much higher jump when they do jump, and your returns will be much better. Look into Voyager, that's my platform of choice. Uphold's also very good. Voyager I like because it has access to currencies that other platforms don't. If you're new to the market, Coinbase is actually a very nice place to start. You can think of Coinbase kind of as a broker. They're buying stuff on your behalf. So really what you have there is a accounting entry that says they owe you so many Bitcoin or so many XRP or so many Doge or whatever. So it's a great place to start with. It's very easy to use. Some of the features that I really like on Coinbase are the training stuff. So they actually have training programs for some of the coins on their platform that you can go through, where you learn about the currency, you learn about how it's supposed to be used, you learn about the different actors that they've set up within their network, and by learning about that, they actually reward you with some of that currency. That is a model that I think is beautiful. I mean, I as much as for a long time I wasn't a big fan of Coinbase because of their ownership and how they kind of structured things, I've really come around just due to their kind of user-friendly nature and the fact that they seem to want to educate people within the space, and I think that that's very, very important. I'll try to include links here to Coinbase and Uphold and Voyager if you want to get involved. There's a lot of different platforms. I think the best use of your time and effort right now is actually to diversify and have a large breadth of portfolios as opposed to one. So like I have a portfolio on Uphold, I have a portfolio on Voyager, I have a portfolio on Kraken, I have a portfolio on NiceHash for running hashing algorithms. If you have a nice gaming rig and you're not using it to mine, I think that you're missing out. If you look at mining or have looked at mining in any kind of capacity, look at some of the pools that are out there. They're really easy to set up, and from what I've found, at least my experience, is Bitcoin's the way to go. Your returns on mining Bitcoin are better than any of the other currencies, and if you're doing that, you can take the Bitcoin that you've mined and trade it and put it into other currencies. So the way I see it, if I can make $100 over the month just by mining Bitcoin, or $200 worth of Bitcoin or whatever, and can take that and buy, a $200 worth of ADA, or Doge or BAT or something that I know will probably have a spike in the future, there's far better profit margins there than mining Bitcoin to hold, which you're just not really going to get what you want out of that. You could, but I severely doubt it unless you're mining with your own pool or something. But yeah, this is just kind of me throwing out my thoughts on the ecosystem right now, and people like this, I'll do more.